Good morning, bedheads. Click. How's it going today? I hope you're doing well. I giggle. I giggle. I giggle because what I want to talk about today is just something I find really interesting in myself. Um, and it is something that I've always experienced, but now with this grand scheme, literally, of things going on in the world, this is like the biggest challenge that I have. Um, and so I want to talk about that. It's really about like I have a very hard time moving on with things until something big in my life is resolved. I know it is something that I have to work on, but I wonder how many other people feel that way. Like, I don't know if that's just my personality type, if that's in my birth chart. It's because I'm an Aries, which, by the way, happy spring equinox today. So I don't know, does that happen overnight or does that start today during the day? I'm not sure. So if you haven't prepared for the spring equinox and you still want to, I have a video I just posted last night. I'll put it right there. Did you guys know that? And I want to come back to what I was just talking about, but the spring. Did you guys know? I didn't know this ever. Is that the new year officially starts at the spring equinox, and I'm gonna guess at the fall equinox on the other side of the hemisphere. So that's the new year. The new year, this is more powerful of a where like this is the most powerful start in a year than January 1st. Does anyone else have ever heard that? I've never heard that, only because I haven't been paying attention. So, to astrology or anything like that. So, anywho, yeah, so I'm going to talk, let's just talk a little bit about this feeling I have and then what to do about it. What are you going to do about it? And then, of course, I have a couple messages from the spirit guides today. And then we have an oracle deck. They do want me to use the crystal ball oracle deck. I'm like, okay, maybe they'll give us some timing and stuff. Um, yeah, and then I have a few other things, but anyways, so I don't know. It's really challenging for me. I just wonder how many of others are feeling this way to go about my life acting like what's going on is not going on. And I know I'm not like you have to go about your life. I mean, you have to do things, you know. And in fact, that is what the spiritual folks people who have been practicing, been on their spiritual journey for a very long time. That's what they're telling us to do. So, because I mean, I've been on a spiritual journey my whole life, but not. I mean, I've read Conversations with God, and I read that in the '90s, but I've come and gone, and then when I got really busy in my career for like 15 years, I didn't really read a lot of spiritual stuff. I feel like I was having spiritual conversations every day. I worked at a small Catholic college, who did not, who, by the way, supported all people of, even LGBTQ. I mean, everybody. So, it's a woman's run college, but well, anyways, it's not really, but it started with women. But so very liberal, let's just say, college for being a Catholic college. So it's been just since like last November when I started this channel that I really started reading again and getting really deep into, working with my SGs. I've been working with my SGs with the dowsing rods. So with these for about, I want to say now 10 years. I kept saying 8 years, but I think it's been more like 10 years. So I've been using, working with them, just very having fun with it, closing portals and whatever, answering question for family, that sort of thing, and for myself. But it's just been like this last November where I've been doing clearings and reading and processing and really getting back into this. And even like I've never been this deep into a spiritual journey like I have since November. And I'm very grateful for this channel because you guys are allowing me to do this. For me personally, I wouldn't be doing it this deep if I didn't have you to talk to. Because, I just wouldn't be. So it just gives me a goal every day. Like I just, I want to come on here and share. And because I want to share, that gives me more reasons to keep reading things and listening to other spiritual leaders and all that kind of stuff. So pulling cards constantly, probably a little too much for me, to be honest. There's too many, going through too many clearings. So click. I do want to say thank you. If you've ordered anything from our shop, first of all, thank you so much. And I hope you're enjoying. And if you could go on and leave a review in the shop, and thanks to everybody who has, really, really appreciate it. That was my little commercial. So I find it really interesting. Most of my life, if I don't have something resolved, I can't move on with my life. I don't know what that is in me. And I've obviously had to learn patience because of that. Because not everybody, if you have an entanglement with somebody, and it's usually when it's involved somebody else, okay? When you have an entanglement with somebody, or like you're just, they're not always ready to deal with things right away, right? So I've had to obviously learn that. But that still doesn't mean that, I guess I have learned. I'm trying to process. You have to move on. I mean, you have to move on until things are ready. But I usually am very active at resolving issues with anybody or any kind of process or anything pretty quickly. That's just my style, okay? And if someone chooses not to, then I just kind of back away, because that's their choice, and I'll back away because I got to move on with my life, and then we probably end up separating, which is fine. That happens. People come and go in our lives, but this thing with what's going on right now, I don't know. Does anybody else feel like it's very hard to move on, like to make plans? I don't even know how to make plans right now. I think that's the thing. I'm a planner. Like I usually have our vacations planned for the year. No vacations planned because I just don't even know where I'm going to want to go. I don't know, I'm kind of over at first, like a month ago, when I'd go out in public, I'm like, why is everybody acting like nothing's going on? I'm kind of over that now. Like I get it. Like, okay, people are, moving on, but, I think that's why so many of us are waiting for like the conclusion. But what if we don't get the conclusion for like a year? Maybe that's our lesson, Maybe our lesson is I'm got a little warm. It's I don't know. It's really, that is like one of my biggest challenges right now. It's really just moving on with my life and then dipping my toe really briefly into what's going on, trying to keep it as brief as possible, So pick up a couple postcards, mail a few postcards, make a few phone calls. If you do that every day, then, move on with your life at that point. It's kind of what I need to do. And I have. It's just hard. I think it's more that long-term planning. I don't even know what to do with long-term planning. Because there's weird stories about people not being able, like this, did you guys see that story about the British Columbia woman who came to San Diego? I saw her being interviewed, so it's like directly from the horse's mouth. But she came to San Diego. She's from British Columbia, from Canada. So she came to San Diego to renew her visa. And instead of doing it at the border, I guess her lawyer was in San Diego. And I might be getting the details of this wrong, but the idea of the bigger picture of it, I don't have wrong. Well, anyway, she was detained in by ICE, well, by visa or by the, I don't know. Well, I don't know if it was ICE, but she was detained for 12 days. She said she was sleeping on cement floors, not eating very well. I mean, so she wasn't being treated very well. She was detained for 12 days until they got her visa worked out. I mean, we don't do that. Well, I guess we do that because she said there was someone in there that had been in there for 10 months. What's that all about? So I don't know. I mean, I think there are certain people who are going to have to be very, very careful about leaving the United States right now if they don't want to have too big of a challenge coming back. So, anyways, it's crazy times, isn't it? Crazy times. Um, yeah, so let me know what you think about that and how you're moving on with your life. I'm still going to the gym, grocery shopping, obviously, getting out of the house every day, got to do that. Um, I am more and more and more and more going back to watching Netflix and Hulu and less of YouTube, unless I get a notification from like the spiritual people, because I don't want to see all the headlines and all that. You know what I mean? So this is interesting though. Somebody just sent this to me today. So Hitler helping one of his biggest donors sell a car in 1938. History doesn't change, it just repeats. That's interesting. Very interesting. The other, there's a channel I would recommend that you check out. You know, I'm not sure. I found her first video really, really helpful. And so it's called The Alchemist. Her name is Sarah. Have you guys have stumbled across The Alchemist? She was talking about, I had taken some notes just for myself, actually, and I just found them. So she talked about petty tyrants. Okay, petty tyrants. And petty tyrants will they have a really hard time with people who are trying to stay in the light, okay? And they will visit us to see if we stand in our truth, okay? So you could look at the entire Cheeto administration as, I know, well, they're not petty tyrants, but that's what she calls them, petty tyrants. They're just tyrants. And I think they're there to show us to see if we are going to stand in our truth. And let's see, what else did she say? They come around because they have the attitude of, well, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And they get triggered by our own evolution. They're triggered by our own evolution. Have you ever had people in your life where and I think I've heard a lot of people saying, and it's happening to me too, we're separating from a lot of people in our lives right now because, and I'm not saying that they're not of the light either, because I think they are. The people I'm separating from in my life right now, they're in the light too. They're just at a different place, right? And they very well could be triggered by my own evolution, okay? And I can be triggered by their own evolution. It's both ways, you know? And I think that's really interesting way to look at that. I will post her video below about the petty tyrants. She's really good at explaining things. You can tell she's been doing this for a long time. I can't even tell that she edits the videos. She's really good at explaining stuff. So she's got a whole bunch of videos. I think she comes out like once a month. She's got a whole bunch of videos that really explain different areas that I don't normally see, like in the books I have on my bookshelf, that type of stuff. So let's see. So she said the most important role of the petty tyrant is to get us to not take things personally. Interesting, because they're there to, keep nudging, nudging, nudging. But I think the strongest part of that, what's on my notes, is that the petty tyrant visits us to see if we will stand in our truth. If we will stand in our truth. So if you've had many petty tyrants around you lately, especially, they're being sent by the universe, I mean, literally, to see if you will stand in your truth. It's giving us opportunities to finally say no more, line in the sand, and that's where I, for the first time in my life, I mean, I've always kind of drawn lines in the sand, but this line is deep. This line is deep. In fact, I was having a conversation this morning with a good friend of mine, and because I finally asked like one of my besties who moved to Tennessee, and because she didn't like how liberal was where she was living was. So, but she's my bestie. I mean, she's a very kind person and I love her to death. But I have not talked to her since November. And I know where she stands. I knew how she voted in 2016. And at that time I was like, what were you thinking? So, but it wasn't quite as serious as it is now. So I thought, I haven't talked to her. I sent her a t-shirt on her birthday just because we have this little joke going on, just because I didn't want to not do that. Because I have my line in the sand right now, but I'm challenged by this line with my bestie. It's very hard to have a line with your bestie. I have a line with my biological dad right now, and that's hard too. Not as hard as the line with my bestie, though, because that line should have been drawn a while ago, but not with my bestie. So I sent her a text yesterday, and I said, "So, how do you feel about what's going on in the government right now?" That's all I said. So how do you feel? I just wonder what your thoughts are. So she wrote back this like lesson. She gave me a lesson. Now, I have a master's degree in political and public administration, so I didn't need a lesson. So, but basically, like how privileged she feels to be born in a democracy, and we don't always get our way but we don't, if you don't, and she wasn't talking to me personally, but she was, giving me a little lecture. That if we have to, she said, I cast my vote, and if I don't always, our side, if I don't always get what I want, and we have to accept that, and we should just see how things shake out. So I thought, okay, all right, I see you. I see you. So my line in the sand just went, oh, that's a challenge. That is a challenge. So I'm not going to take it personally, but my line is in the sand until she has a wake up call. Until she has a wake up call. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Because here's the challenge for me. This is why. It's not because I don't care about her, and it's not because I don't want to touch base with her, but it's very hard right now to have conversations with people as if nothing's going on in the world, as if, this isn't going on, as if history is not repeating itself. Very, very hard for me to do that. So I am avoiding people who I can't have those conversations with, because I can't just be like, oh, what's going on? And then, so this is my challenge. This is my challenge. Anybody else? Anybody else challenged by that? So the good news is she does live further away, and we don't really talk a lot. We just, we're like we're fair weather besties. Like we can pick it up. We can not talk for 8 months and we pick it up and we're like, like we never, ever since she moved, especially. So we did work in the same office for 20 years. So, and she worked for me at one point. She was at the college before me, and so she trained me, and so so we saw each other every single day for 20 years. So, anywho, okay, so those are kind of my general thoughts for today. Wonder what you're thinking. Okay, so I did actually ask the pendulum today. So if anybody's new here, oh hi, I didn't say this is Coffee with Karen, by the way. So I have a pendulum where I have the letters, and I can ask my spirit guides to give me messages. So I actually asked, I said, what do you want me to talk about today? I never have asked them that question. I've always said, oh, do you have a message for our highest good? And I've never asked, what do you want me to talk about today? And they wanted me to talk about Jesus. And I was like, well, that's challenging. So, so haven't talked about Jesus. So, but they wanted me to talk about Jesus, just so you know that. And I think what I would say about Jesus is really just repeat the message they gave us yesterday, was leave it to Jesus. So I think, and then leave what to Jesus? It was that. Okay. Cheeto. So I think that I'm going to keep this little sticky note probably up on my cabinet, because it's just a good, it's a reminder that that Jesus is saying, I'm here. Leave it to me. Leave it to me. You don't, and it's still do your postcards, still do your calls, still hold your signs, still do those things if you're motivated to do them, if you're inspired to do them. But to know that Jesus is, he's got the wheel. Jesus has got the wheel. Okay, speaking of Jesus, the first message for today. So I just said, I said my prayer, do you have a message for our highest good? Okay, this was the first message. I did ask for a political message then. So how cool is that? How cool is that? Jesus loves you. Very cool. Okay, so the second message, I said, well, do you have something about what's going on in the world? And they said, don't you love that? Take a picture of that. Take a picture. The dichotomy of those two messages are hilarious. Take a picture of that and put it on your phone. Oh my gosh, so funny. He's going down. He's going down. I love that. I'm just going to use that from now on. He's going down. Okay. They wanted me. So for those who are new, I have a whole pack of my own oracle cards, and I pull whatever deck they want me to use. And this is what they wanted me to use, crystal ball. This only has 13 cards in it. So it's tiny, tiny little deck. Tiny deck. Okay, so let's just see what they have to tell us today. So I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides and guardians, and ask Archangel Michael to please protect this channel so it's only of the light. Amen. Okay, well, what do you guys want to tell us with the crystal ball today? What do you want? Whoa, no! The entire deck just fell down. They want to tell us all these things. Okay, let's start over. What do you guys want to tell us today using the crystal ball? I just ordered did I order it? I just ordered a crystal ball because it looks so cool. And they showed a video of the person making it, like out of quartz. And I thought, oh, that thing's cool. I wonder if I'll ever be able to see anything in it. I don't know. Okay, anything, you guys. I'm not really getting anything. This deck is so small. If I don't get anything, I'll just pull a couple cards off the top. Maybe I'll pull one from the top, one from the bottom. Yeah, this deck is so small, I bet. You just got to be light about it. Okay. Oh, okay, maybe it was that one. All right. Okay, let me ask. Okay, so I have 3 cards in front of me, which have crystal balls on them, by the way. Kind of cool. hence the title of the it's a pocket oracle. I should get the bigger one actually. Okay. Are the one of the messages in front of me the one you want us to have for today? Yes. Is there anything else in the are any of the other 10 cards? Do you want me to pull any of the other 10? No. Okay. So which one? The one on the left? Yes, the middle one and the one on the right. Okay, so all three. Yes. Okay. All right. So let's do it this way. Well, we'll see what they look like. Okay, so the first one is reconsider. Reconsider. All right. What do you want us to reconsider? Me drawing the line in the sand? Reconsider not moving on with my life until things are resolved? Oh, middle. No. Okay, I don't know if this is going to be helpful. We'll see. You'll have to tell me what you think. Oh, it's funny. I was like, oh, what do you want me to reconsider? Do you want me to reconsider drawing the line in the sand, moving on with the life? And then they're like, no. I don't know if that's how to interpret that. Okay. I don't like that image. Ew. Yuck. Okay. And this one is, this is the sign. This is the sign. That's a star, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think? Reconsider, no, and this is a sign. I'm not really picking up. I'm not really, you guys sometimes are so much better than I am. But this one I'm really stumped at. So reconsider, let's see. This card suggests that what you are hoping for or trying to achieve in the way that you are currently approaching it might not be the best outcome for you. Think again and consider a different option. Okay, so not moving on with my life. So what about you? So what do you need to reconsider? Okay, so I will think about that for myself for sure. Okay, and then the no card I think is pretty clear. This is an absolute no in the deck. Nothing fuzzy or ambiguous. This no means business. Okay, so I don't know. I got to think about that. I'm not picking up anything in my intuition is not picking up anything. So let me know what you guys think. And then for those here, because I'm doing a bad job at using for my intuition right now, and I could honestly think. I'm trying to think of like besides stuff I talked about personally, I could ask the SGs questions, but I don't even have any off the top of my head. So please read the comments because people will have some amazing things to add to this. All right, this is the sign. So sometimes we find ourselves in limbo. Oh my God. Okay, you know what's really weird is even though the SGs said these first two, this is the one that fell out. This is the one that fell out. So I'm almost thinking about, I think these are like personal for me, like reconsider your approach. But now I can see that's weird about the limbo thing. Okay. So sometimes we find ourselves in limbo, putting off making decisions or taking next steps towards something we're unsure of. If you have been searching for a sign that you should do, leave, or start something, this is that sign. This also means that depending on the question you have asked, now, I guess I should have asked something very specific with this because there's only 13 cards. This is an affirmation card and a form of yes. Think of it as your green light to take action. Okay. All right. So it's basically telling us don't put your life on hold. Gino's not worth it. It's not worth it. We can still live our lives and still take the action, but the rest of our time we're doing our thing and not paying attention to him. That's the thing is we got to stop paying attention to him. He's thriving off of the attention. He is. Because we're giving it to him. And anytime we get triggered, then we sit in that trigger and we're giving him more and more attention. So it's a lesson. It's a lesson. And tomorrow I'll come back and be like, I gave him too much attention. It's a cycle, I think. So, All right, well, enjoy the spring equinox and set some intentions because this is a pretty powerful one, apparently. I highly encourage, if you're interested, to watch this video that's coming up next. All right, have a great day. We'll see you on Sunday. All right, we'll see you later. Bye bye.